Expedition 33 is full of items you see all the time, weapons, consumables, upgrades. But buried in the game files are pickups that never made it into the final game. Items that were cut, unfinished, renamed, or just quietly left behind during development. Some of them barely do anything, some of them are completely broken, and a few of them make you wonder what the game originally looked like. So today we're bringing those items back. Using a modded setup, I'm spawning in every unused pickup I could find to see what they do, how they behave, and why you are never meant to see them. So first of all, we also added Gustav in the party, obviously, but there's not enough space in the visual, so it's stacked on top of Verso, but you can see on the bottom that we have Gustav and Verso as separate. I made sure all of them are level 99, all of the Pictos, all of the items, all of the weapons are level 33 and maxed out, just to see in full power what they do. So we'll start with Gustav, and we will showcase the weapons that he has. Now, he shares the weapons with Verso, so some of these are for Verso, but I will mention specifically which ones were meant for him. Now, the O3 weapon placeholder is the first weapon for Gustav, and I'm not actually sure if the power, element, agility, and luck are actually the attributes that this weapon scales off of. It might be just a visual bug. Then we also have this GDC weapon Verso. Now, yes, it says Verso in the name, but it's actually labeled as a Gustav weapon, and you can see the power that it scales way more than any other weapon, because usually the weapons at level 33 end up at 11,000 power, 12,000 power maybe, but this one goes up to 14,000 power. And the interesting thing to mention about the mitigated perfection is that it's labeled as a broken weapon. And last but not least, we have the Velocon, which is a light element. Next up, we'll do Lune. So we have the GDC weapon for Lune, which is again GDC, same as how we had it for Gustav, even though it was labeled Verso. And again, the power scales way more than the other weapons. Then we have the Gelerim and also the Telerim. So they're both showcased as physical elemental damage, but the power is completely low because they have no attributes. Then for Mile, we have the Bezelbum, which again, no power, physical damage. We have the GDC weapon for Mile, which again scales way more than the other weapons. The Millirim, now even though the Millirim should be part of Lune because it's I am at the end, also based off of the skin that it has, it was actually labeled as a Mile weapon. So I'm not sure what that is. And then we have the Nibelum. So all of them, no attributes, no quantities, low power. Monoko only has the GDC weapon, as you can see, and CL also has only the GDC weapon. And the interesting thing about Verso is that he only has one weapon which was not released, which is called the Sucresso. Now, the reason why I'm talking about the Sucresso is that even though the Sucresso actually exists in the game, this is a version of the weapon with different abilities. And what you see on the screen now is the actual Sucresso that's in the game. So now I will showcase all of the Pictos that are cut content, and I will actually show them like this. So everything that you see on the left are Pictos that, to my knowledge, have not been released in the game. I made sure all of them are level 33. Most of them, or some of them, do not have any date on it. They don't do anything. It's just the name there and nothing. Yeah, there's all of these are not released in the game. From what I could find out, it was around 100 plus Pictos that have not been released. But I just want to mention one thing here. So you can see that all of them have some sort of thing that they do. But if I scroll down, you will see from this lucky aim onwards, all of these Pictos just say new passive effect, which we are not sure what they do. It's an unknown thing. Okay, we don't know. They might do something if I go into a battle. They might do nothing. Maybe it's just a placeholder. But you can see that there's quite a lot of new passive effect Pictos. So basically, most of them that I showed have this passive effect, which do nothing. So starting off, we have 5 anti-Pictos, which is for anti-bound, anti-curse, anti-dizzy, anti-exhaust, anti-inverted, and all of these cost 5. So this is a showcase of the anti-curse Picto. Yeah, that's the curse. Look at that bottom right, anti-curse actually hits, so I didn't actually get cursed. That's crazy. Yeah, you can see right here that I'm actually not cursed, because we have these, but I'm not actually cursed. Then we have the auto 1 HP, which makes you start the battle with 1 health. So I'll just test this real quick on CL. So she has 2,400 health right now, but we'll actually test it and see whether she actually starts with 1 HP. And yeah, as you can see, this is the really interesting part. So the auto 1 HP, in my opinion, is a really cool Picto because you start with 1 HP, so you can have all of those extra buffs when you're low HP, but you still maintain the max HP that you have. Whereas we have something similar right now for this Picto, which is called the 1, where it sets your max HP to 1. Then we have the auto burn, so self-apply burn on battle start. Then we have auto curse, self-apply curse. Then we have back at you, which is 50% increased counter-attack damage. Now we already have this, it's just an augmented counter. Then we have a better healing tint. So healing tints have double the healing effect. We have a bloody bullet, which is +1 AP on a weak point hit. Then we have the bramble skin. On damage received, deal 10% of the base attack damage back to the attacker. Then we have the burning dodge, so successful dodges can burn the attacker. This seems busted. I mean, if it's 100% burn when you dodge, then that's crazy. But let's test it out. Is it based off of like 20% or is it all the time? That's so cool. So it's based off of chance, it's not guaranteed. Okay, next up we have the charging recovery, so 50% increased gradient generation with healing skills. Sherib D Tusila, I'm sorry, I butchered that. Apply mark on stun removed. Critical cursed power, 25% critical chance while cursed. Critical havoc, after killing an enemy, the following hit has a 100% chance of dealing a critical strike. Okay, I mean this for bosses is like nothing. Critical stun, 100% crit chance on hitting a stunned target. Critical weakness, increased crit chance on weakness. I thought this already exists. I'm not gonna lie. Then we have the cursed power, increased damage while cursed. See, this is good because you can combine the auto curse with the cursed power. That's really cool. Then we have the dark coat, where you're resist to dark damage. See, like, it does dark damage, but I'm resistant to dark. That's kind of cool. I feel like they should have actually kept that. Because whenever you fight a specific boss, you'll see what sort of elemental damage they do, and you can actually use that coat. Okay, then we have the defense breaker dodge. Successful dodges can apply defenseless to the attacker. So, successful dodges can do burn and can apply defenseless. Defense riser dodge, successfully dodging can apply shell. They had a whole build just connecting on dodging, apparently. And then dodge helper, increased dodge window. Dodge specialist, 25 reduced dodge window, but 50% chance to gain AP on successful dodge. And then you have the earth coat, obviously resistant to earth damage. Empowering death, on death allies gain powerful. I mean, we do have a decent amount of Pictos where when you die, your allies gain something. I don't know. I guess this is not in the game because this is kind of good where they gain powerful. Then you have evasive healer. Heals provided are doubled until any damage is taken. Then obviously you have the resist to fire damage. Free aim inverted shots. Free aim shots can apply inverted. Now, I'm not gonna lie, this initially made me think that you apply inverted to yourself the same way as you apply powerful to yourself, and that way you will do more damage when you're inverted if you combine the Picto, but you actually invert the enemies. And I tested it out on this Pellerin, And when he healed his allies, they actually did damage to themselves. Also, at this specific frame, I have no idea what the Pellerine was fighting.
Waiting.
Free aim shots can apply precision on self. Free aim precision ×1. I got it. The only thing that makes sense for this precision thing is that when you get it, your aim shots will do more damage or they'll always crit. Because fighting these enemies, I saw that after I got the precision, my next hit did the 10k hit. Whereas my other hits were doing around 2 to 3k. I don't think precision exists in the game. I know that some enemies can lower your aim precision, but I didn't know you can gain precision. Okay, so I searched up to actually look at the status effects. The precision is actually a part of the game. At least they've announced it as a precision, but they never actually released it in the base game. And if you search on like the Expedition 33 wiki, it says that the effect is to be announced. So they never actually announced it. So we still don't know what the precision would have done, but they actually had some sort of idea. Okay, next up we have From Behind. So if you remember, I did a video where I got this From Behind Picto, but it was actually the cheater because you played twice in a row. But this one is costs 1 and it's actually work in progress. That's what WIP stands for. Base attack ignores shields. Frozen affinity, increase damage on frozen targets. I mean, that's good, but can you actually freeze a target? I'm trying to think. Like, I'm sorry if I have some misinformation, but I don't think you can freeze an enemy. They can freeze you. So I guess they had like some sort of plan on you being able to freeze them as well. Frozen shot. Free aim shots can freeze. That's crazy. I need to test this out. Moment of truth. Can we freeze an enemy? Oh my god. It literally said freeze. But then it did nothing. It just removed it. That's... Did you see that? See, freeze, but then it just goes away. It does nothing. Gatherer A, work in progress. Gain more chroma at the end of a battle. I think they should have had this sort of thing. I mean, I think this is good. This is what I imagine similar to Elden Ring with the foot that you have, like golden foot or whatever they're called. And then basically after each encounter, you can gain increased, like you get more money from what that enemy would usually give you. 913, 914. Okay, so no. So since it's a work in progress, they never actually released it. Gradient recovery. Recover 10% health on using a gradient charge. Great energy tint. Energy tints now affect the whole expedition. I mean, that's good. I mean, it costs 20, which it's, yeah, because it's good. Like, imagine you just give AP to one of them and all three of you get that same amount of AP. That's great. And then there's same for great healing tint. Greater precision. Precisions gives 15% more accuracy. See, they actually had something planned with precision, but they never actually did anything. Because what is this? 15% more accuracy. What does that mean? See? Then you have hazardous choice. 33% chance to skip your own turn, but deal 50% more damage. This is kind of good. Like, if you use the cheater and you manage to skip one of those 2 turns that you have, you will do 50% on that next turn. Then you have the Learner A, work in progress. Gain more XP at battle end, work in progress. So it's basically the similar as the Gatherer A. Gain more chroma at the end of a battle and then gain more XP at battle end. Okay, then you have Light Code, resist to light damage. Lucky Aim, 30% chance to recover AP on hitting a weak point. Did I not already read something like this? Bloody Bullet, +1 AP on a weak point hit. And then this one is 30% chance to recover AP on hitting a weak point. So this one, it has 30%. This one is just, it just gives it to you. Okay. Okay, and then you have all of these new passive effects that don't do anything. Actually, let's enable all of them. All right. And I'll actually test out if I get anything. So they don't do anything. There's nothing that the new passive effects do. So we have the parry helper, which increases the parry window by 25%. It costs 30, but I think this actually would have been a nice Picto. So I'm surprised they never released this. Then we have the parry specialist. So 25% reduced parry window, but double counterattack damage. So basically, if you combine the parry helper with the parry specialist, you will just have the normal parry, but you'll do double counterattack damage. Then you have the passive defense. So reduces the damage taken by 50%, but can't parry or dodge. Then we have the patient fighter, which you get 2 AP on skipping a turn. That's kind of cool. I don't know. Yeah, I feel like that's a cool Picto. I mean, it costs 1. It's actually kind of useful. Then we have the perfect heal. So perfect rhythms recover 5% health. It's not even perfect. It's mispronounced. It says prefect rhythms recover 5% health. I'm actually not sure what this means. I would assume that it's whenever you perfectly either parry or dodge. And perfect rhythms give 1 AP. So I will actually test both of these. Perfect. Perfect. It might be like based off of percentage. So maybe there's like 20% chance that you get AP or heal whenever you perfectly rhythm. I don't know, maybe rhythm is not what I think it is. Then we have the physical coat, obviously resistant to physical damage. Physical fighter, where you convert all skill damage to physical damage. Now we have this for void damage, and it's called the painter, where you convert all skill damage to void damage, which is insanely good, and I think it costs 10. But the physical fighter, I'm not sure if this is useful, like all skill damage to physical damage. I don't know, like I guess, I don't know. Pierce defense, work in progress. Free aim on a weak spot applies defenseless for 1 turn. Post gradient, play immediately after using a gradient attack. See, I think the reason why they didn't add this Picto is because it's already in the game. Because every time you use a gradient attack, you play another turn. However, if you use the cheater and your first turn is whatever skill you do, and then you waste your second turn on a gradient attack, then you won't get a third turn. So maybe this post gradient would actually give you that third turn option. Power breaker dodge. So successful dodges can apply powerless to the attacker. So there was like a whole thing going on about dodging. And then power breaker shots, so powerless on free aim. And power riser dodge. Successful dodging can apply powerful. Wow. So if you basically just spam dodge, you would just get all of the status effects for yourself and for the attacker as well. Pro blocker, counter damage increased. Okay, it's fair. Then we have the protecting fire, where enemies deal 3% less damage for each burn. That's interesting. So the more burn stacks they have on them, the less damage they do. I mean, if that would have been actually in the game, then you could have just stacked them with burns and they'll just do less damage. Then we have the protection spirits, which I use in my randomizer, so the damage that I receive will always be less than the max health. So in a way, guaranteed to survive at least 1 attack. Then we have revive with rush and revive with shell. Then we have the shield breaker. All hits break 1 more shield. Solidifying meditation. +1 shield when passing turn. So if I skip my turn, will I get a shield? Sure. I did not. It doesn't work. Alright, that's fair. SOS precision. So apply precision buff when passing under 50% health. And then we have the soul eater. Now this, in my opinion, is a really cool Picto. I wonder why they didn't actually release it. You deal 30% more damage, but you lose 20% health per turn. I mean, I feel like this is good. I don't think the 30% stacks, but you can't technically die from losing the health per turn. Like, you'll just get to 1 HP. But most of us already play with 1 HP, so they get all of the buffs and they'll just use shields. So this is just free 30% more damage in a way, which is really cool. And it's 5, it's cheap. Then we have the speedster dodge. Successfully dodging can apply rush. Again, another one for dodging. Successive parry. You can't dodge, but you get plus 5% increased damage per parry until damage taken. Bro, I feel like that shit is crazy good. So if you just do no hit and just parry, bro, that shit is just gonna stack. I mean, maybe there's like a limit on how much you can do it. Then we have the best defense, where you do 50% more damage but can't parry or dodge. And last but not least, we have the Thunder Code, where we are resist to lightning damage. But for the time being, that would be all. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video, which will probably be a solo Gustav run for all 3 acts. But if you have other ideas on what to make, please let me know. It would be my honor to do them.